Hi. So, welcome to Nurses Week Prescription for Resiliency. Today, we're going to start with self regulation. And I'm just going to pull up the PowerPoint here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about self regulation. Tomorrow is self care, then mature perceptions, intentionality, and connection and support. And today is self regulation. But before we start with the self regulation, I thought we could just take a moment for a self compassion break. So I invite you to just take a pause and you can close your eyes if that is comfortable or soften your gaze, whatever feels comfortable. Let's just take a moment to settle our body in a comfortable position. Feeling relaxed and alert, you can close your eyes. You can look downward if that helps eliminate visual distractions. Drop your shoulders, loosen your jaw, relax the body. Today, we're just going to take a few minutes to practice self compassion, starting with a full breath in through the nose and a long, slow exhale, inviting a sense of ease in the body. Just take a moment to notice what you're thinking about right now or what you're feeling. Be curious. Are you feeling stressed? Maybe you're hopeful. What are the thoughts that are going on? Maybe you're thinking about what happened before this, what will happen later. Give yourself a moment to notice what's happening in your body right now. Maybe starting off by wiggling your toes, just feeling the soles of your feet where your feet are touching the ground. You may want to shift a little bit in your chair. Whatever you're seated, noticing the weight on your bottom. Just noticing whatever you feel in your body right now. Pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, neutral sensations, warmth, coolness. I invite you to think of a situation in your life right now that may be a little difficult. Maybe you're feeling a little stressed, worrying about something happening. Perhaps there's tension in one of your relationships. This practice is only for a few minutes, just something that isn't too difficult. Bring this challenging situation to mind. What happened? What do you fear might happen? What are some of the emotions that feel strongest for you? Now that you're holding this difficulty in your mind, I invite you to consider three things. First, simply acknowledge this is a difficult situation. Find language that works for you to label what's happening. Perhaps this is a tough situation. I'm worried about this. Bring some mindful awareness to what's happening. Acknowledge that difficulty is a part of life, something you've experienced before. Something everyone around you has experienced before. It's part of our common humanity. And like everything else, this too will shift. And finally, I invite you to say, may I be kind to myself in this moment? Say it out loud. You could say it internally. May I be kind to myself in this moment? Acknowledging no matter how hard the situation is, you can always be kind to yourself. using any language that invites kindness. Perhaps something you might say to a friend. I'm here for you. It's going to be okay. You've got this. You're loved. I love you. If you like, you can rest your hand on your heart, offering kindness to yourself, offering a sense of compassion to yourself, or maybe just letting your heart soften a little bit because of the discomfort, offering yourself a little tenderness because of the stress, taking a moment to take in that kindness, that feeling that kindness in your body. And take another moment to broaden your attention, perhaps noticing your breathing or the sounds of my voice or the sounds of the room where you are right now. And bringing your awareness back to the sense of your bottom, where your feet are touching the ground or where you're touching the chair. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. And if your eyes are closed, you can open them, welcoming yourself back to the room. So that meditation contains some elements of mindful self-compassion. We stop for a moment. How often do we do that in daily life? We pause to notice what's going on in our minds, our hearts, our bodies, and we noticed we are struggling, brought our attention to the stress of the body, and we opened ourselves up to kindness, remembering we're not alone in these sorts of experiences. Thank you. So, moving on here, are you 100% safe right now? The answer should be yes. We often find ourselves in situations where we have the perception of threat, but there's no actual danger. Judgments of coworkers, multiple demands, a challenging deadline, these provoke the perception of threat, but there's no actual danger to life. Well, for instance, right now, my kids are sleeping. It's a Saturday, my husband's not here. I am completely safe in my house, yet I have some threatening sensations right now. I'm thinking, well, what are people going to think of this and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So these perceptions are based on painful past learning. Everyone who's ever been in a middle school has experienced painful past learning. It happens within the context of our families, within the context of our education and work. Feeling stressed day in and day out can lead to showing up at work as a persona, having perfunctory relationships, and even illness, crisis, or changing careers. So if you weren't convinced that you're 100% safe, there's a chance that your anterior cingulate cortex has atrophied. The ACC is our threat detection system, and the job of the ACC is filtering the environment and assigning meaning. It is the lens through which you're having experience. So when the sympathetic nervous system is dominant, the HPA accesses dumping chemicals into our bloodstream, the cortisol, the catecholamines, the adrenaline, the GABA, the glutamate. We can do threat assessment based on our sensory data, but when the ACC is diminished, we're less able to use the empirical world data than now about threats, and we're treated with that painful past learning. We're doing threat assessment based on our past experiences and hurts. And your painful past learning, our painful past learning, is contaminating the sanctuary of this moment, causing stress where there is none, and this can damage quality of life. Um, the reason for some of this background is to gain your buy-in. So we're not going to start self-regulation, the interoceptic process of taking attention away from the environment and putting it on ourselves till we understand that we're not really in danger. We don't need to have this hyper vigilance. So am I in danger right now? No. And there can be relaxation and release in your body. Oops, what happened to my slide? Okay. So how many times a day do you perceive a threat? And when, like we said, when the body's perceiving threat, we have the decreased GI system, we have increased respiratory rate, the chemical changes, our muscles tighten. Our muscles tighten when we're working out and doing manual labor, and then they release. But when we're perceiving threat, they stay constricted. And tight muscles are uncomfortable. Perceived threat, fight or flight. So we want to be in parasympathetic nervous system dominance. So just a quick background, the nervous system, we have the central and peripheral. The peripheral can be divided further into the somatic and the autonomic. And the autonomic, it contains sensory and motor neurons, and it can be further divided into the sympathetic, parasympathetic, and enteric nervous systems. So our bodies, when we spend a lot of time in the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, this can lead to the negative outcomes that are associated with chronic stress. When we're tensed, when we're stressed, we're less likely to adhere to our personal values and our codes of behavior. It can be anything from snarky comments, snacking on cookies to calm ourselves, to the bigger outbursts and addictive behaviors. So when the sympathetic nervous system is dominant, activity goes to the middle brain and the brainstem and the thalamus. There's a diminished neocortical function. So this impacts judgment, reasoning, intelligence, creativity, humor, fine motor control, impulse control, relational skills, identity, intentionality. There's less space and more reactivity. When the parasympathetic nervous system is dominant, we have calm, alert focus. We can communicate better, we make better decisions aligned with our values. So meditation and centering practices over time have an effect on the brain. They used to say years ago that you couldn't grow new brain cells, and we can. We know now you can thicken parts of the brain, we can shrink the amygdala, we can build new neural pathways, neuroplasticity. And what we're trying to do is widen this space. So we have space for intention versus reactivity. And doing things widens the space that we have to live intentionally, to engage in our environment directly, before we say and do things that we regret. So the brain scans when relaxed and comfortable, and the parasympathetic nervous system is dominant. Everything is more distributed, it's lateral. So today's skill we are going to talk about is self-regulation or centering. So it's bringing peace and presence from the meditation cushion to the moment to help us regulate the autonomic nervous system and create spaciousness. So I listened to Dr. Gentry like countless hours. Like I think I'm taking 4-hour lesson and trying to put it into 10 minutes. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And there are videos that you can see. All of his videos are all on YouTube if you want to go further into any of the skills we talk about. So he kept talking about the scientific studies and new discoveries. And while we can look at recent evidence, these are not new practices. I just kept thinking to myself, this is spirituality, prayer, mantra, centering. These have been done for thousands of years in every culture. Grounded means we're in our bodies, aware of the present moment experience. We're feeling responsible for our safety and well-being. And we have a stronger parasympathetic nervous system response. And we are creating that natural ability to return to calm, reminding ourselves that here in the present moment, we are safe. We can train ourselves to trigger calm over and over again from the bottom up. It's easier than thinking ourselves calm. We can increase awareness and contact with the present moment. And these small victories can lead to large gains over time. So, what am I noticing in my body? What am I noticing with my breath? What's happening with my feelings? What's happening in my heart? What's happening with my thoughts? Dropping into the present moment Dropping back to the observer view, you can train yourself to calm, even with a single word. So, any way that you do this is fine. Any way that allows you to switch off from sympathetically activated state is fine. There are many, many techniques out there, and we're going to go through a few. But what matters is the most important, effective one is one that works for you. So I invite you to try several of them. See what works for you. So his talks about the wet noodle, scan and release. You tighten all your muscles and just release everything. Breathing is very, very common. We at the end of this, we're going to do a soft belly breathing. So any meditative breathing where you consciously extend the exhale or just drop into the sensation of breathing, feeling the breath, noticing the natural pauses, enjoying that moment of stillness between breathing cycles. Straw breathing, where you exhale through pursed lips. There's a lot of methods of breathing that can be used for self-regulation. Peripheral vision is a neat one. So you are focusing on a spot straight ahead and then softening your focus so it gets a little blurry, and you widen your field of view and notice what you see in your peripheral vision. So when you open up out of that tunnel vision, you go into relaxation. Pelvic floor relaxation can be a very effective one, but it can also be a little challenging to learn. So you feel the front of your hips, the iliac crest, and then you can feel your butt bones poking into your seat. And these 4 points make a square. The pelvic muscles tend to be tense when we're tense. And when we're relaxed, they can tend to soften. So by softening the pelvic floor, you can trigger your vagus nerve to relax. So you can practice tighten and relax, soften, bear down just a little bit, and you can just imagine it pushing out. And this takes some practice. So there are many more resources in the document, including links to videos. My kids notice I sometimes do this thing. It's called a California sigh, and I was just, it's just like a deep, kind of exaggerated exhale. It can sing-songy kind of thing. Just that deep sigh is very relaxing. Now, maybe you can't do that in certain situations. Mantram, you can practice silently. And it can also be connected to breathing or focus on the heart. There's this thing called the plumb line, where you're also imagining your energies up here at the spot between your eyebrows. And heart math has a lot of techniques that are focused on feeling the breath through the heart and generating a positive emotion like gratitude or love. I'm not going to play this video, but there's a link to a 1-minute video on how to use the soft palate to trigger calm. And I thought that was neat because if you do it, it always it talks about the soft palate and how to do it. And it triggers me to yawn. So give that one a try, and it's in the link in the document. So there's 3 phases of pretty much anything new that we do, but for centering and self-regulation, you have the mind-body conditioning. So we're asking you to do something, and you may not have a lot of it. It may seem weird. It's going to be awkward and kind of, robotic or whatever. And so what you're doing is you're still conditioning the body. And eventually you might have an experiential moment where you're like, oh, I did that and I was calmer. I didn't react as quickly. It's like, aha, that's the aha moment. And then you can build this habit where you are less reactive. So it is us that are squeezing the muscles in our body, and it's us that can be intentional to learn to stop. It takes time to remember and build awareness and practice. So maybe you're going to hear some things this week and you want to try. Maybe you want to try some of the self-regulation. You want to try the awareness practices or the self-care practices that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Maybe you want to anchor this intention and inspiration to integrate these helpful ideas. You can practice this 1 minute intention in the morning. So take a full, deep, intentional breath, feel it all the way in and out, and identify and feel gratitude for something. This is before you get out of bed. You're taking the breath, thinking of something I'm grateful for, and you're feeling it. You're setting an intention for the day. That could be something you want to feel, do, be, whatever your intention is for that day. I want to be more patient. I want to get this thing done. And then when you step out of bed, feel your feet, truly feel your feet touch the ground. So that's an idea, 1 minute, and it kind of brings this into play. And so we're going to really do a quick soft belly. And when you practice soft belly and you come back to it, maybe practice it for 10 minutes. And it can become something that you do remember. So when you need to drop into a moment, you can come back and it's available to you. So soft belly is a relaxing, restorative practice. It brings about feelings of peace, calm, and contentment. Make yourself comfortable. Allow your breathing to deepen. And if you can feel comfortable, you can close your eyes. This can remove outside distractions and allow you to relax more deeply. And you're going to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. It's a very relaxing kind of breath, and it may be a little unfamiliar to you. You'll get used to it. So you're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let the breathing go deeper and let your body be soft as you breathe. If the breath is soft, it automatically goes to the bottom of the lungs. If the belly is soft, oxygen exchange is better. If the belly is soft, the vagus nerve is activated. If the belly is soft, all the muscles in the belly are relaxing, and all the other muscles of the body begin to relax as well. To encourage this process, on your inhale, you can think soft, allowing your belly to receive the breath. And on the exhale, you can think belly, letting go of any holding or resistance. Inhale soft, exhale belly. If thoughts come, let them come and let them go. And gently bring your mind back to soft belly. You can imagine your belly being cared for by the breath. Let the breath loosen any solidity. As you're relaxing, a variety of feelings, thoughts, images, memories may bubble up. You can welcome all that comes. If you find yourself in conversation with a thought or feeling, simply acknowledge that observation. Meet yourself kindly and draw your attention back to the flow of your breath. Soft belly. You can open your eyes if you had them closed and bring your attention back to the room and notice how you feel. Notice what's changed. Are you feeling a little calmer? Your heart rate may be a little slower. You may be seeing the room a little more clarity. Maybe your shoulders are more relaxed. See if you can bring the same quality of kind awareness, soft relaxation in the core of your body and being. You can bring that with you through the day. Thank you for your practice and thank you for your attention. And I'll see you again for the perceptual maturation portion. Thank you.